Where are you from? Where? You're not from Mexico. Where are you from? Welcome home. Oh, we missed you.
Hi, we are Cheryl and John. We sold our home and business in March 2020 and set out to live life differently, traveling the country in an RV with our twin daughters, Brighton and Daisy. We believe the best days are always ahead of us, even in good times. Thank you for joining us as we inspire others to seek the bright days ahead. Hi, Bright Days Ahead family. So today I wanted to tell you about 5 reasons you should go out of your way to visit Big Bend National Park. So before we started this journey, neither John nor I were very familiar with Big Bend National Park. Now, we had heard about Isle Royale, which is way up in the Upper Peninsula, an island between Canada and Michigan. And when we were up in that area, it was closed due to COVID. And then we really wanted to go to Dry Tortugas, which is 75 miles off Key West. It was sold out months in advance, so we missed out. So while Texas doesn't seem very exotic or remote, I will tell you West Texas and Big Bend is way, way, way out there. So this is our story of Big Bend, and I hope you enjoy it. Now, Big Bend describes the U-turn that the national park makes with the Rio Grande River. It's 118 miles of the Rio Grande. It kind of makes that U-turn. So it's the southern tip of West Texas is where Big Bend is, and it's right on the border of Mexico. And as full-time families, we really like to plan ahead and try to get an agenda and, make it worth our while to go out there. So what are we going to do? Now, I will tell you right now that our family is not super rugged boondockers. So we kind of steer clear of some of the state parks or national parks. We like full hookups. And we're not extreme athletes, so we're not going on the 11-mile hikes, nor are we, super athletic anything. So what we're really looking for is, do these national parks offer something with families for young children? So here are our 5 reasons to visit Big Bend. 1, hike Santa Elena Canyon. So this hike was perfect. It had it all. We have twin 4-year-olds. So normally I have to come with lots of snacks, sunscreen, water bottles. I'm basically the pack mule of the family. And I need to make sure that this has something for everyone and a little entertaining. And this hike does have it all. You can drive up to it and park. And then when you get out, you hike into an area and you immediately get rewarded with views of the Rio Grande Canyon, Rio Grande River, Lake Valley. And then you can hike up a couple steps and around some twists and turns and hidey holes and a rock that looks like a cave. So a lot of fun for the kids. And at the very end, the canyon cools off and you're shaded by one side, the USA, and the other side, Mexico. And the kids can take off their shoes and run into the Rio Grande and splash and play. We had a little picnic on the side and we got to watch people come and go. And then we ventured and got a little daredevilish and we walked to the other side in the Rio Grande River and went to Mexico. Now, Mexico on the other side has a 2,000-foot cliff. And trust me, no one knows if you're in the US or in Mexico, but it was a really fun novelty thing and we got to take our pictures and the girls loved hearing the echoes in the canyon and playing in the water. So definitely check out Santa Elena Canyon if you go to Big Bend. So number 2 on our list is the Junior Ranger Program. Now every national park system has some sort of Junior Ranger program. But I will tell you, early on in our trip, we were very disappointed with some of the Junior Rangers programs. A lot of them were closed or weren't available due to COVID. And then later on, they would have them, but oftentimes we found parks would just give us the pamphlet and the badge and say that they would deputize the parent and then they can do it. Now, I like this idea and it streamlines the badge process. It's cheating and it really cheats the children out of the knowledge and the learning and the experience of having the ranger as a mentor for them to look up to and learn from. So we have not really enjoyed some of the programs. Not to name names, Carlsbad and Guadalupe, I'm looking at you. So when we got to Big Bend, we were surprised and delighted when we arrived at Panther Junction, the park headquarters. Not only did they have the Junior Ranger program, but they had extra patches that you could earn too. Now, Big Bend has a program where you can earn 3 patches in all. And at Panther Junction, there's just a short 400-yard, excuse me, not 400 miles, 400-yard nature hike that you can identify plants and the kids can earn a patch. Now, the other 2 patches we were not able to earn because there was a wildfire in a section of the park that was closed while we were there. Later, we completed our Junior Ranger regular booklet and turned it in at the Rio Grande Valley Visitor Center, or Castellan Visitor Center near St. Elena, and we met Park Ranger Susan, and she was excellent. She really took to heart the nature of the Junior Ranger program, was really engaged with the girls, taught them a few things, and it was just a special moment that they got the badges. So I really encourage you, if you don't know about the Junior Ranger program, and this is a great thing for people that are either road school, homeschool, or just wanting to supplement some education, check out all National Parks Junior Ranger program, especially at Big Bend. All right, reason number 3 to check out Big Bend, and this one's a little bit seasonal. Now, I'm from the desert, and I consider myself a desert rat. And I've had to train my Midwest husband that it's the desert. Anything will kill you. It's dry, it's hot, there's scorpions, snakes, prickly pears, what have you. And so it doesn't look super beautiful at first glance. But driving through Big Bend, especially on the Ross Maxwell Drive, scenic drive, and in the spring, which the optimal time for desert blooms are between in March and April, and we caught it just perfect, you could see the desert come to life with all the floral bloom. And maybe it was my help with the Junior Ranger program, but I learned a lot. There was a lot of plants that had dual meanings for the early settlers. One, you can make soap from some of the yucca plants or eat it as a root. I have known about the prickly pear forever, growing up in Santa Fe, and I learned about the rainbow prickly pear plant, which turns red in dry periods and green during rainfall, and had a completely different color of flower than the regular prickly pear. And there was the candelia plant that they used to make wax and beeswax out of and candles for the early settlers. And then my favorite was probably the octoleo plant, which is green and lush in the spring, and then during dry seasons it turns gray and it's spiky and just looks really spooky. And they call it desert corral or fence posts. And the early settlers would use it as fence posts. But in the springtime, it has a beautiful red bloom. So just driving around Big Bend and seeing all the beautiful scenery is definitely worth the drive. Reason number 4, and probably my favorite, is you can get lunch delivered from Mexico. Now, we had already been tipped into this by a few other full-time families, that if you went on a hike in Boquillos Canyon, you could get lunch delivered from Mexico. Definitely. And sure enough, right across the Rio Grande Valley is a little old town in Mexico that normally you can cross into, but the border's been closed. But on this hike, you'll see a sign that says tacos and tamales, and it points across. And you can shout your order across for tacos or tamales, and Jose will bring them over on horseback, or what I like to call a food truck. And we were there on Taco Tuesday. Jose unfortunately had run out of tacos, but he did have tamales and empanadas, and we were able to get a dozen tamales. And this hike also ends up in the Rio Grande River, and where you can cool off and have lunch. So it was such a fun thing to do. And then finally, number 5 is see the ghost town of Terralingua. Now, while this isn't technically in Big Bend, Terralingua is a little town just west of Big Bend, which is now kind of known as the artist mecca of the desert Southwest. And we stayed in a little town just near there in Lajitas, which is at Maverick Ranch. Check out our video and review of Maverick Ranch RV Resort. Back to Terralingua, we'd heard that this not only had a ghost town, but it had a cemetery that was one of the most photographed cemeteries in all of North America. Now I just had to go, but I wasn't brave enough to go right at dusk, so I went right before sundown. And looking through visiting the cemetery and seeing some of the mausoleums and the crosses, it was very reminiscent of that movie Disney Coco, as it's one of the biggest celebrations of Dia de Muertos, or Day of the Dead, where those of the Spanish and Hispanic heritage honor their loved ones. And you could see that representative. We went further into the ghost town of Terralingua, and we got to see the Terralingua Trading Post, which has not only a great gift shop, but one of the best bookstores that rivals any bookstores in a city that I've been to. And it has a long portal, and connected to the portal is this restaurant called the Starlight Theater. Now, it did used to be a theater, but now it is a restaurant. And if you go, I recommend that you get there pretty early in the afternoon, as they open promptly at 5, normally with a line. And when we arrived at 4:30, we were already third in line. But don't worry, they have a cantina connected to it where you can get margaritas or ice waters to wait. And in the portal, normally local musicians will gather and sing and play guitar, and you can enjoy. There's a little old town ghost jail right next door that the kids can go play in and lock themselves in. And then if you do get in, the restaurant was very good. It serves what I'd call cowboy fare. It had excellent service. And at 6 o'clock, they had a musician that started to play too. So we really enjoyed our night out at the Starlight Hotel. So those are our top 5 reasons for visiting Big Bend. But in closing, I'd say just be prepared before you go. It is way out there. So make sure you have plenty of fuel, sunscreen, and groceries, because the closest Walmart is, I think, 300 miles away, and Target's like 500 miles away. So just be prepared. It is the desert, and you need to make sure that you have ample water. If you need to fill hookups, look up those things, because it's definitely in the area. But definitely put Big Bend National Park on your list of places to visit. And if you like this video and more, please like, share, follow, click that little bell, and just put the comments below on your where you want to go at national parks, or what your experience has been at Big Bend. Thank you.